I tell you, that was short and sweet. I'm impressed, Jim, because you give a politician or a Baptist minister's son a podium, man, we go on forever. My father was a Baptist minister, by the way, and especially black Baptist ministers. You ever seen one pray? Don't ask a black Baptist minister to pray over your dinner. I remember my mother and father. My father used to love to pray, so we'd have the table. There was 12 kids in our family. And so we'd sit around, and my mother and the sisters would bring in the mashed bowls of steaming mashed potatoes and gravy and the fried chicken. We ate a lot of fried chicken. People laugh because black folks eat fried chicken, but it's cheap. It's cheap to raise and kill them chickens and have good fried chicken. And they would bring in corn on a cob, and I'll tell you that just be steaming. And then my father would say, let's pray. He'd want to give thanks for our dinner. And he'd go on, and pretty soon the steam would turn to cold, and that fried chicken would be colder than a mother-in-law's heart. I'm joking, I shouldn't say that. My mother-in-law is a wonderful woman. God rest her soul as soon as possible. But I mean, she was a great woman. But so when Jim gave me that short speech, I said, wow, that's amazing. I want to bring up the next gentleman, and then we're going to eat, I promise you. I don't know if it's going to be fried chicken or cornbread or mashed potatoes, but we're going to eat. Now, I messed this gentleman's name up. I hope he doesn't come up here and throw a couple shots at me. But at any rate, I'm going to try it again. I know the first name, Rathika, and I have met. So I'm going to try the last name again, Sitsabaiesan.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Rathika Sitsabaiesan, and I'm the federal member of parliament for Scarborough-Rouge River, representing the community since the last election. I want to start by reading something to you, and it reads, and I think many of you, being activists in the community, being human rights activists, should know exactly where I'm quoting from. All human beings are born free and equal in dignity and in rights. They are endowed with reason and conscience and should act towards one another in a spirit of brotherhood. Everybody knows where that comes from? It's music worthy for sure. It's Article 1 of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. And as we are here as human rights activists and human rights organizers working for the development around the world, I felt it was important to remind everybody what it is that's actually written down in the Declaration of Human Rights. This poster actually inspired me to read you the Article 1. Thank you to everybody who was here and for the organizers of CHRV for inviting me also to join you. And it's great to have our Minister and Parliamentary Secretary and many other colleagues here from the Federal House of Commons. And I'd like to start off by saying thank you, and also saying thank you to the Tamil community and all of the people of Scarborough-Rouge River who have elected Canada's very first Member of Parliament of Tamil heritage. And I'm proud to be here as a human rights activist, but also as a Member of Parliament of Tamil heritage. I've been working with many of my New Democrat members of parliaments, colleagues, such as Mike Sullivan, who's here with me today, Olivia Chow, who is on her way, and if you're somebody who lives downtown and you don't have a car and you're trying to get to Etobicoke, it's quite difficult to get here without good public transit. So Olivia just messaged me earlier. She is on her way and will be here shortly. And of course, many of you know Paul Dewar, who is our foreign affairs critic, Wayne Marston, who is our human rights critic, who have fought without break, without stop, against the injustices. They've fought for truth, and they've fought for reconciliation of the Tamil people. They started with our former leader, Jack Layton, and are continuing this work under our current leader, Thomas Mulcair. We all know, or many of us know, and we've learned from this video also right now, that of what the Sri Lankan government has been doing. The government of Sri Lanka has so far rejected global calls for accountability. They've shown a lack of respect for democracy, judicial independence, and human rights as a whole. They're even promoting their model abroad in other countries who are facing domestic insurgencies today. Most recently, the government of Sri Lanka took another step backwards when the Sri Lankan Chief Justice, Sharani Bandaranaike, faced a politically motivated impeachment. The state continues to repress critically dissident voices who dare speak the truth, who dare speak out against the government. And these are university students, these are journalists who have been silenced. They've been smeared, they've been assaulted, jailed, disappeared, and many have been killed. The government has made a move to reduce the number of Tamil voters recently and limit powers to the provinces by furthering the lack of representation and say from the Tamils on the island of Sri Lanka. Yet, I thank the minister. It's great that we have a minister and a parliamentary secretary in the room, because we know that our prime minister, after calls after calls after calls from the NDP, has publicly in the House of Commons said that the prime minister himself will not attend the Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting that's will be happening hosted by Sri Lanka in November this year. But as far as we understand, our prime minister is still planning on sending a delegation representing Canada to be at the Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting. So I hope that the minister who is here and the parliamentary secretary who is here and the other members of parliament who are with the government will take this message back to the prime minister, that I hope, and that the Tamil community hopes, that the Conservative government will take a principled stance on Sri Lanka and not attend the Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting, not attend CHOGM. Canada should not attend CHOGM unless the government agrees to an independent international investigation that's led by the United Nations. And that is the one condition that I think, only after that one condition is met should Canada participate. Canada being the country that is known for its human rights record and known as the leader defending and fighting for human rights. This is the country, this is the history of our country, and I hope that the members who are here of the government will take this message to our Prime Minister. Many of you know of much of the work that I've been doing to fight and to defend for Tamils' rights, and the work that the NDP has been doing. I want to invite you all to join me and the hundreds of thousands of people across Canada who have signed our online petition. If you go to the NDP website, you can find the petition. If you go to my website, you can find the petition. And this petition asks for exactly what I just said right now, that our government, our country is not represented at CHOGM unless the Sri Lankan government agrees to an independent international investigation. This petition has already been signed by, like I said, hundreds of thousands across the country, and I hope to see all of your names added to that as well. The Tamil community is a strong, vibrant community, and we are going to continue to need to continue to stay united in our calls for a principled position by our government and continue our calls for that international investigation. And I must say a very big thank you to all of the media outlets who are here and all of the other media, whether it's all of our Tamil media who have given a lot of good coverage to the petition and our calls for that independent international inquiry, but also to the Canadian press and Post media, which have both covered the petition and our calls. So I encourage all of you to sign that. Canada needs to once again be a leader in supporting the lasting peace initiatives, in supporting the calls for human rights. And I know when the organizers invited me, they wanted me to speak for 10 minutes. I don't want to take the whole time. But I want to say, once again, a very big thank you to each and every single one of you in the room. You are here because you care. You are here because you are an activist who wants to contribute to the global human rights, to stop global human rights violations. CHRV is an organization that there are many Tamils within the leadership of the organization, yes, but it's an organization that's fighting to stop human rights violations around the world. So I laud the work that you are doing, and I know that each and every single person who is here to support the work that you are doing. So on that front, I'd like to say thank you, and I wish you well in all of your future endeavors. And on behalf of myself, Mike Sullivan, my NDP colleague who's here, and on behalf, as the Deputy Chair of the New Democrat Caucus, I wish you well in all of your future endeavors. Thank you once again. Good night. Nandri. Vanakkam.